Good happy Tuesday morning. I'm Riley King, and welcome to the Riley King Newscast. Let's get started. First up, Manchester cafeteria worker in hospital after being hit by car. Let's take a listen to this video from WMUR News 9.
Like every other school day, Carol Boyer was walking to her job at Central High School in Manchester last week. She was struck by a car while trying to cross the street. The accident left her with an injured back and broken bones, including a broken hip.
She walks to and from work every day. She's been working for Central High School for 20 years now. And she's been really devoted, the best lunch lady in the world. She really is.
Carol's granddaughter says she's in good spirits and still smiling despite undergoing 2 surgeries. She says her grandmother loves the title lunch lady, loves her job, and loves her Central High School family.
They love her. People say, you know, she'd always save the peach yogurt for me, or she'd save like specific tater tots for me. Like, she always had the best interest of everybody in mind, and she just wanted to make everybody happy and smile, and she's amazing. She started there when my oldest cousin was at Central High School, and she wanted to stay through to see all of her grandkids go through Central High School.
And after decades dedicated to Central High School, Carol was just weeks away from retirement when the accident happened.
She was looking forward to having, you know, the last couple weeks with the kids and, you know, just being able to see everybody and say goodbye. We love Central High School. We are so amazed by the support and the outpouring that we've received from them.
In Manchester, Jean Mackin, WMUR News 9.
And to go up to support Carol. For more information on that, head over to our website at WMUR.com.
Okay, and there you go on that report. Mother of crash victim worries about driver's impending release. Let's take a listen to this video from WMUR News 9.
And I need to know that my son didn't die for anything. I don't want her out on December 20th. I see something bad coming, and I feel it.
Chantel Parker says she was just getting reacquainted with her son, Joshua Shackleford, after years of being estranged when he was killed in this horrible crash.
She drove around a barricade, didn't hit it, and was driving in her lane when she made contact with that trailer.
Michael Zano is in private practice now, but in 2015, he prosecuted the case against the driver, Lacey Lane.
Clearly, she was responsible for Joshua's death. No doubt about that. But the question is whether she was criminally liable.
Police originally charged Lane with felony driving while intoxicated and reckless conduct. The grand jury upgraded the charges to manslaughter and negligent homicide. Zano says toxicology reports revealed drugs and alcohol in Lane's system, but the level of impairment was inconclusive.
The conduct no one disputed, right? She drove into the back of a trailer. That was the easy part. The hard part was showing what was her state of mind at the time.
Lane struck a deal, pleading guilty to felony reckless conduct and driving after suspension. Department of Corrections records show she entered prison October 10th, 2014, and was paroled a year later.
But I needed to know why. I had a lot of why.
Joshua's family says the sentence seemed light to them and are now questioning the parole system.
This is like a slap in our face.
Records from the Department of Corrections reveal that Lane was released on parole October 12th, 2015. A technical violation put her back into custody March 29th, 2016. She was released the next week. 4 months after that, another technical parole violation landed Lane back in the transitional housing unit for a 4-day stint. She was then arrested 7 weeks later. This time, the parole board sent her back to prison for 90 days. As far as his reaction to her release, the former prosecutor says his authority effectively stops in the courtroom.
We try to hold people accountable. We try to get sentences that are meaningful, and then we want to make sure that those people actually serve those sentences.
News 9 obtained the audio recording of Lane's September parole board hearing, where she told the parole board she was on a waiting list for for a substance abuse treatment program. The board responded that if she gets into a program, she could get released early. But Lane, who is 24 now, is still in the women's prison, due to be released on parole December 20th. She declined our request for an interview. The parole board did too. Joshua's mother says whatever happens, she hopes Lane gets the kind of help she needs.
And I'm afraid she'll do it again. So I hope December 20th, she's due to get released from prison. I hope that they don't release her. I want them to put her in an in-house drug program so she can address this issue.
News 9 has learned that when making its decision, the only item the parole board will see when reviewing Lacey Lane's case is the September arrest. They will not see her 2 prior violations because, according to the Department of Corrections, Lane waived her right to a hearing and opted for a short incarceration, meaning the substance of her violations are not public record either. News 9's request for those documents were denied. The infractions are recorded in her prison record, but not on her parole record. Joshua's mother questions the effectiveness of the New Hampshire corrections system.
I mean, if she would have got out of prison and gone the straight and narrow path, I would have respected that and I could have let it go.
When Lane is released, she'll be required to report to her parole officer immediately. According to the state, Lane is also subject to unannounced visits from her parole officer and must submit to searches of her person, property, and possessions. For News 9 Investigates, I'm Amy Cavino.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. The elaborate The elaborate attack kills at least 12 at Christmas market in Berlin. Let's take a listen to this video from ABC News.
Tragedy in Berlin today, what the White House is calling an apparent terrorist attack. Tonight we have harrowing images and eyewitness accounts from the scene. All this in the wake of other attacks throughout Europe, including an assassination of a foreign diplomat in Turkey and a shooting at a mosque in Switzerland, as information is coming in about who was in the truck that barreled into that crowded Christmas market in Berlin. Catastrophe in the Christmas market. A truck plowing into unsuspecting shoppers in the heart of Berlin just 6 days before Christmas.
It went just past me, past my girlfriend.
Killing at least 12 and injuring more than 45.
It was relentless. It didn't seem to stop.
At 8:14 p.m. Monday night, police say the driver of this large delivery truck carrying steel supports jumps the curb at a high rate of speed and plows into the square, tearing through pop-up shops and crowds for a distance of at least...
Okay, and there you go on that report. If you want to watch the whole video, just go to abcnews.com and you can watch it there. Bank of Japan holds rates steady, upgrades economy outlook. The Bank of Japan left policy unchanged on Tuesday at conclusion of its two-day policy meeting as widely expected. Trump adds yet another billionaire to his team. Let's take a listen to this video from CNN.
Under growing pressure to sever his ties with his real estate empire, Donald Trump took to Twitter, not to start a new controversy, but to try to end one, announcing, "I will be holding a major news conference in New York City with my children on December 15th to discuss the fact that I will be leaving my great business in total in order to fully focus on running the country." That declaration comes just 1 week after he pointed out presidents are technically exempt from government conflict of interest laws.
In theory, I don't have to do anything. But I would like to do something. I would like to try and formalize something because I don't care about my business.
Still, after pledging to defend the working class as a candidate, the president-elect is assembling a team that's a lot like himself, rich, tapping financier Steve Mnuchin to be Treasury Secretary, billionaire Wilbur Ross for Commerce, the co-owner of the Chicago Cubs, Todd Ricketts, as deputy at that department, and another billionaire, Betsy DeVos, at Education. Mnuchin, along with incoming White House chief strategist Steve Bannon, both worked at Goldman Sachs.
It's a global power structure that is responsible for the economic decisions that have robbed our working class.
The same Wall Street powerhouse whose CEO was featured in Trump's closing campaign ad on the special interests harming American workers. Mnuchin is highlighting his past as a banker.
Let me first say, what I've really been focused on is being a regional banker for the last 8 years, and I know what it takes to make sure that we can make loans to small and mid-market companies.
Democratic Senator Elizabeth Warren blasted out a statement slamming Mnuchin as the Forrest Gump of the financial crisis. He spent 2 decades at Goldman Sachs helping the bank peddle the same kind of mortgage products that blew up the economy. Trump is considering another well-known millionaire, 2012 GOP nominee Mitt Romney, for Secretary of State. CNN observed the two men as they appear to put their bitter past behind them.
Mr. President-elect, we're looking at the next Secretary of State right here.
Well, we're going to see what happens.
After once calling Trump a fraud, Romney was singing the president-elect's praises.
It's not easy winning. I know that myself. He did something I tried to do and was unsuccessful in accomplishing. He won the general election.
Trump is now toasting one other victory, his deal to keep hundreds of jobs at a Carrier air conditioner factory in Indiana from fleeing to Mexico.
Well, it's a great present from the president. Here we have a trade victory before we even come into office.
It was a promise delivered for Trump, who had threatened to punish the manufacturer as a candidate.
Carrier, congratulations. Enjoy your stay in Mexico. Every unit you make, 35% tax. Have a good time.
Okay, and there you go on that report. And that does it for the Riley King Newscast right here on the Riley King Network. I hope you all have a great rest of your day and see you back here later on today. Goodbye, everyone.